They were pretty specific in terms of, I mean, Dr. Daniel Kuko was pretty specific in terms of, you know, the term that they did not like. I mean, you heard the governor say that the Boko Haram troops are better armed and better motivated. Absolutely. And people are wondering, how does he know that? I mean, first of all, has he taken an audit of the Nigerian armory to know what it is that we have and what it is that Boko Haram has, and how does he also know about motivation? You know, so these are things that definitely no government would like. You know, the morale of their forces to be low. Even though he was a little careful to say that within the best, within what is available, the soldiers have done their best. But do you think that statement really did much for the morale of our soldiers?
Well, I don't think our soldiers will worry about whatever anybody says. Our soldiers are professional soldiers, and they know the truth, but they cannot open up and talk to you about it. The Boko Haram people are getting their arms from the Nigerian armed forces. Yes, they are getting them from the police. They overrun bases. People who are ordinary Nigerian people, they are ordinary civilians. You can call them bloody civilians. But they have the guts to attack 1st Infantry Mechanized Division in Kaduna, Jaji, Kaduna, Air Force Base, Kaduna, headquarters of the Nigerian Police, Abuja, and so many other places. Even in Maiduguri itself, didn't they go to attack the Air Force Base there and destroy helicopters on the ground?
Yeah, but
so the issue is they get their arms from wherever they attack. When they attack,
what about before they attack? They attack armed?
Well, because they acquired those a long time ago. Whatever arm they have, you know, they found a lot of little workshops where they are making incendiary devices. They know how to make their own bombs. About 2 years ago, when we started discussing this issue, we are talking of, apart from what we now call the Ahlul Sunnah or Boko Haram, they must use some peace columnists. Because ordinary Nigerian civilian, why does he get that skill to produce? Well, I know students of physics and chemistry and mechanical engineering can go a long way, but to mobilize and do quality incendiary devices that can do all those damages. And then, if the government said they are better motivated, of course they are better motivated.
No, but from my own submission, it was saying that they cannot be better, because the government did not even talk about the motivational aspect of your speech. What they talked about, what they focused on, was the better armed part of it, and they say that, you know, that's from a civilian perspective, which from your own submission to, if they are taking arms from wherever it is they attack in Nigeria, how can they then be better armed than the arms that they're stealing?
Well, there is a sense in that saying. Yeah, if you are now talking of the entire armed forces armory, of course we are not talking about that. We are talking of these specific issues, specific attacks, and how where an area under emergency with checkpoints all over the place, with helicopters and surveillance and so on. These people will still drive about 400 kilometers from the border if they are coming from outside Nigeria. 400 kilometers into a place.
Yeah, but how did you deal with that kind of situation?
Spend about 3 hours, 4 hours in a village, killing everybody.
Mr. Othman,
then move back without anybody seeing them.
These people, is it a way they look? Do they have a particular mode of dressing that differentiates them? I mean, they could walk the streets and you wouldn't even know they are the insurgent.
Well, you can see, but if you are listening to the victims who survived, they said they come in military uniform. The one in Isgay, they came there, they put them in a corner, they want to address them. They thought they were soldiers. Then suddenly they open fire, and then they went to rampage all over the place. Now, before we lose the track of it, when the governor said they are better motivated, we are not talking of motivation because it may improve their welfare, no. People whose life doesn't mean anything to them, they believe in martyrdom. You cannot argue with them. How can you argue? We love life, that's why we are behaving this way normal. Somebody who is not normal, his life doesn't mean anything. He thinks if he dies, he will go to heaven. Why are you arguing with him?
So is the motivation indoctrination?
Yes, indoctrination. That's a soldier is going through some, you have the do's and don'ts. You have the combat, whatever policy. And they are civilians. I mean, this is operating with a civilian. And the professional soldier who is fighting in his own country is not there to destroy everything on sight. They have nothing to lose. They kill people. There is no Islam, there is no Christianity, there is no religion. Anybody is a target. So, what more motivation do you want? If you have some guidelines, some do's and don'ts, they don't have. From all the practices we have seen, from all the results of the attack we have seen, they don't spare anybody.
Okay,
so, if you are talking, if people feel irritated because they say they are better armed, then it's not. I think we are taking it out of context. If whatever they have, they use it ruthlessly, what is the difference? The army have weapons, have bombs, and so on. They cannot use it because of the repercussion. These people, whatever they have, they use it. It doesn't mean anything. They use fire, they use destruction, they kill people. I mean, even if they are short of bullets, they use knife to cut throats.
But if you listen to also, sorry, Nyota, if you listen to the explanation of, the spokesperson, the presidency spokesperson, and, what he was saying about if they've not been uprooted is because of the fact that they mix with civilians. How do you think it's really a very difficult situation for the soldiers, especially now that they're also impersonating? How do you think that the soldiers will continue to be welcome? Do you also think that it is possible to win the hearts and minds of the citizens of Borno State, especially those who are constantly under attack?
They win the hearts and minds of all those people, either in Yobe or in Adama or in Borno. Whoever is talking like that is just preaching to the combatant. These people, even on their own, without any weapon in their hand, they organize a civilian joint task force. And then they are targeted. The same people, the same Boko Haram now find their way into those people who are JTF, local civilian JTF, and kill them, and so on and so forth. So the issue is that somebody whose life doesn't mean anything to him, they have surrendered, they martyrdom, whatever they call it. Whether it's suicide bombing, whether you die in the process, it doesn't cost you anything. You don't feel like you and me will feel. Therefore, it is a matter of intelligence gathering. This is what is missing, and nobody wants to talk about it.
Mr. Oban, the wars most times are fought with propaganda, and oftentimes won in those kind of places. Now, for the governor to say these words, you said he's speaking the truth. From what you said, you imply that he's seeking the truth.
He's living there.
He's living there.
He's on the receiving end.
But
all that statement comfort zone in Abuja and Lagos and wherever. We are talking out of those of us who are talking, who are seeing something wrong with what they are saying, because we are comfortable where we are.
But you don't think that those statements are enough to weigh down the agencies, the operatives?
I don't think so. I think the generals who are listening to us, who are watching this program, they know their duty. Like it's a wake-up call. Even the federal government, even the spokespeople of the federal government, they can take this one as a wake-up call to do something different from what they have been doing all these 3 years. Because if for 3 years, whatever they are doing, it's just like go round and round in circle.
Okay, I'm going to to ask, Northern elders, are they not considering to meet leaders of Boko Haram since military option seems not to be yielding the result as fast as it could? Because Hope also says that, Harry says, during the Niger Delta militancy, the likes of Clark met with the militants. Has not only this met with Boko Haram for discussions? Would that help?
But we said this one before. There's a difference between materialism and ideology. Niger Delta is resource control. They want share out of the wealth coming out of their land. And if you give them, you solve the problem. These people, whoever they are, ideologically, they believe. Whatever they believe is what everybody else should believe. Anybody who does not belong to their class is an enemy. There's nothing you can do about it. And which northern leader are they ready to talk to? Which northern Islamic leader are they ready to talk to? At the beginning, there are attempts for dialogue. Then they turn around to say those people who are dialoguing were betraying them, they are disclosing their whatever, or government was not talking in good faith. After they discuss something, government goes to attack them and so on. So that one collapsed. Nobody is talking of any dialogue anymore. And if we have the guts to make an attempt to attack the Shehu Obonu coming out of our Friday Juma prayer, they try to attack Ina Okano, and so many other things. The other traditional rulers, smaller traditional rulers were killed. Imams in mosque leading prayers were attacked. So whoever is going to talk to them must be some kind of genius, and we are looking for that.
Okay, Alhaji Muhammad Othman is a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming on this morning.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Let's flip over to where Ayatunde Balogun is standing by with the headline news. Morning, Aya.